I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Friday.
We all made it here together. Congratulations. I was telling Blake that if there was another day this week, I wasn't showing up. It's been a long week.
Yeah, according to the Bible, you're supposed to work 6 days, Billy.
Yeah, I know. And I still am tomorrow. I got stuff on my plate later on this afternoon, and I have about 6 hours of work I got to do for the other job tomorrow as well. So
keep going.
I know.
Well, you're working and not getting your Hermes bag, your $10,000 in gift cards, your spa time Apple Watch, a wire payment of $53,000 for a private jet, and no flowers or wine because you weren't friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Bill and I, neither of us in the Epstein files.
No,
but
not at all. Not even as cool as Joe Rogan or nothing.
Goldman Sachs' top lawyer stepping down as a result of this. She was also big in the White House. She was picked as White House counsel by former President Barack Obama, as once considered a candidate for Attorney General. She is stepping down at Goldman. What did you think of this? And the release of the Epstein files, have we satiated the American appetite for justice at this point? Let's go to the phone lines. Brian in Arvada. Good morning, Brian. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I think you guys are way underestimating the American people, and I'll tell you why. Once you see these files, there's one thing everybody hates, whether you're a petty criminal or a person, just a normal law-abiding citizen. We hate pedophiles. And you look at these, some of these emails and these texts that these perps had where, Bondi, of course, she blacks out the perps, of course. She wants to protect them. But, the victims, she just releases their names. Nothing's done, by accident, trust me. But you look at this where they're talking. This is actual emails between, these demonic, psychopathic pedophiles, okay? These are actual emails between them talking about raping 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. How that doesn't bother everybody to the core of their being. Now, I'm tired about the what about you-isms, okay? What about them-isms? Well, they didn't do it. Why should we? No, this is not going away, guys. This is going to cause Trump a lot of problems, and he knows it. And you could tell because you look at Fox, they won't even bring it up. They don't even bring up the files. But there's a few people. You got Massey, you got Nancy Mace. These people aren't letting it go, guys. And one thing we hate as a society is people that abuse children.
Brian,
and these
I wish this was the case. Here's the pushback I have. The top Democrat donor to just about every major Democrat leader in Colorado is in those Epstein files. Have you heard a single thing? Has 9 News done anything? Has Denver Post done anything? No,
because
these guys are all going to escape.
On both sides. You know what? You're exactly right, Jeff, on both sides. But it doesn't matter. I'm a complete Trump, guys. I went to both rallies, everything. This has got me so disgusted. I mean, literally at night, I think about this. And I know I've gotten other people involved to actually vote for Trump. I literally come over to my house and talked about these. Just because the mainstream media ain't, there's one thing you can't do. We'll let you, kind of scam the stock market, make a few extra bucks. We're a lenient people. We're a very forgiving people. But when it comes to abusing, because everybody has children. I mean, I got 8 grandkids, 3 kids, and to think of them, there was one that came out where they dressed her up as Snow White or something. She was 13, bragging about how they raped her, and then they redact the name of the rapist. Do you really think people are just going to go, well, I guess this sicko, this psycho, he just gets to walk?
Do you blame Trump? Do you blame Pam Bondi? Do you want to see the whole system burn down?
I blame Pam Bondi. She is in charge right now. I'm tired about what about them-isms, okay? It doesn't matter about them-isms anymore. She's the one in there. They literally campaigned on this. Dan's whole show, you remember Bongino, his whole show was based on, don't forget about the Epstein, don't let this go. And then he gets in there, the swamp takes him over, and then he comes out and just tries to lie and tries to bury it all and calls us all conspiracy theorists and everything. No, it's literally right there in front of your face. Well, and why are they redacting these people's names?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me.
The thing for me, the reason they're redacting the names is because they only want, well, one, they're trying to cover everybody's butts. Two, they only want fallout, in my opinion, to those people that are on the other side. If they can leverage it and it can harm someone else, that's why we're only seeing the Clintons being dragged in. Nobody in the current administration or anybody else is being dragged in to testify. It's only about harming, in my opinion, the opponents. And I think that's kind of where we, as Americans, have drawn the line. And I think it's disgusting, and I think that's why there haven't been more calls for investigations. And you're right, major donor here in Colorado in the Epstein files, but also Howard Lutnick in the Epstein files, keeping up a very friendly relationship after this stuff in Florida. And if Howard Lutnick, if there's nobody inside the administration and nobody inside of Fox News, the GOP, or anybody else going, Lutnick should probably go. Nobody's doing that. I got no faith that we're going to do this for anybody.
You know, and I agree with you, Billy. I agree with you, but I don't think I think both sides are underestimating the American people. I don't think to us it's bipartisan. You hurt children, we want accountability, especially after now that the files are out. If they didn't release the files, maybe. And this whole Lutnick thing, you're right. It's weird. 2 months ago, he was in an interview saying, oh, man, he was my neighbor. I went over there and we saw this massage table and how gross this guy was. We just thought he was gross. We took 7 steps on the way home. It was one and done. And then all of a sudden, he's testifying the other day and he's going, well, yeah, you know, we were on vacation and stuff. And I decided, you know, we just dropped by Epstein. This is after he was convicted.
And the issue
and that
is,
bothers me, too. I don't follow anybody blindly.
With Lutnick turned around, and thank you so much for the call. We've got to move on to news, and I do appreciate it. Lutnick, it wasn't as if Epstein reached out to him. Lutnick, after telling us that he ended the relationship, reached out to Epstein to have lunch with him. It's not as if he is responding to something Epstein said to him. This is a guy that said, I cut off all ties, and then reached out to him later on to have lunch. That's the thing, is I don't think we care.
Here's 6262 regarding Epstein. I agree that Americans no longer care about the Epstein files. I disagree on the reason. I believe that Americans see the issue as being nothing but a tool to attack political opponents and have grown tired. Interesting. All right. Feel free to join the conversation. A lot of open lines today on Friday. Jump in. Be a part of it. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
TGIF. Yes, 32 and sunny in Denver, 33 in the Springs. Expecting highs in the mid-50s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story, Senate Democrats have rejected a House-passed bill to fund DHS.
The motion failed to advance by a vote of 52 to 47 on Thursday. Democrats blocked the motion, saying it didn't go far enough to reform immigration enforcement operations after the fatal shootings of 2 protesters in Minneapolis last month by federal agents. Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar.
I'm glad that there's negotiations going on, but at this point for me, this idea that we're going to continue to fund them at this level after what they've done to my state, that's not in the cards for me.
I'm Michael Kastner.
And she's running for governor of Minnesota, of course. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says there were no victims at the scene of a shooting at a strip mall in Evergreen. Spokesperson Carlin Tilley.
We, upon our search, did find the shooter, who then in turn did kill himself. So we only have the one person right now. We have cleared the building. There is no one else inside.
Tilley says there were bullet holes visible in the building. It happened near the corner of Colorado State Highway 74 and Ellingwood Trail. The city of Denver.
So apparently this guy was like shooting, or gal, we don't know yet, but was shooting at the strip mall and then gets confronted by the deputies and kills themselves.
Yes. So where was he headed?
Right. What was this all about?
Oh, my God. All I know is thank God there were no other people involved.
Well, it just goes.
Been horrific.
It goes to prove my thesis, and I think this is law enforcement's right now: confront, confront, confront. I mean, go and challenge, because a lot of these shooters are weird beta, low T types of people, and the minute they face any type of confrontation, collapse. So, like, I've trained with law enforcement, and we did this like little active shooter drill, and it was run into the building as fast as you can and confront the shooter. And it seems like in this case, it was the good guys with the gun that got there and stopped this bad person. And thankfully, nobody else was injured.
Thank God. I mean, how times have changed in 2 decades. The city of Denver is swapping land with the National Western Stock Show. Michael Bouchard with the mayor's office says the stock show needed space to build a parking garage.
And this was a way to do a land exchange, to give them the land that they needed, and then also compensate the city with land that we can now put into the larger Triangle Community Vision Planning process.
As part of the deal, the National Western gets 1 acre along National Western Drive South, and Denver receives 8 acres on Brighton Boulevard north of DPS Bus Barn, the DPS Bus Barn. No money will change hands. Colorado will continue to receive federal health funding after a temporary restraining order issued Thursday. Colorado and 3 other states filed suit on Wednesday to prevent HHS from stopping $600 million in public health grants. The state could lose $22 million in existing grants and about $4 million in future funding. The order is set to expire in 2 weeks.
Do you know?
No, I wasn't aware of it. No, I didn't. I actually haven't spoken to him about it.
DJT talking about Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and 47 appears to be distancing himself from Lutnick after admitting to visiting Epstein's private island.
From what I hear, he was there with his wife and children, and I guess in some cases, some people were. I wasn't. I was never there.
That is good, and he gave him a lot of information. He was one of the first people to give him the information because it looks like thousands were there. I mean, it's disgusting, a lot of the stuff, almost all of it, and I agree with Pete and Brian, the callers last hour. This story has the potential to bring every American together, believe it or not. I believe that.
On that point, Blake Jay from Louisville, who typically doesn't agree with anything I say, said, yes, burn it down, burn it all down. Both parties are corrupt and sold out to private interests.
I agree. Expose them all. God will take care of it. It's we the people. It's not these millionaires and billionaires in Congress and in Hollywood and on Wall Street. So we got to rise up. I mean, got to hear from we the people. I agree with those guys. And Jay, I think you said, in Louisville or Lafayette. An Arizona sheriff is denying reports that he's blocking FBI access to key evidence in the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. Reuters reports the FBI asked for physical evidence from Guthrie's Tucson area home to be tested at its National Crime Lab, but the local sheriff insisted on sending the evidence to a private lab. The sheriff says that's not even close to the truth. Colorado Springs Parks officials are detailing cost-saving measures to address a $3.1 million budget cut this year. The popular Julie Penrose fountain will remain dry and save up to $50,000, and bathrooms in small and medium parks will close, saving about $100,000. All right, we've got hockey in the Olympics, and Team USA wins at 5-1 over Latvia, and they're in the hunt for its first medal since 2010, and the U.S. has not won a gold in hockey since the miracle on ice in 1980. We'll see what happens. 33 in the Springs, 32 in Denver. That is the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Satellite and radar shows a continual feed of moisture from the west coast coming into Colorado. This is going to be producing a lot of high and mid-level cloudiness. There are going to be more opportunities for occasional snow in Colorado's high country today, tonight, and tomorrow. For the Front Range, since we don't have any connection to Canadian air, temperatures are going to continue to be very mild. Daytime highs in Denver and Colorado Springs will easily be in the 50s today and tomorrow. And as we get into the weekend, 50s, even some lower 60s by Sunday and President's Day Monday, as that flow of Pacific air continues. Do expect a lot of clouds with this pattern through Friday. There might be a few rain or snow showers along the Front Range and plains today, tonight, and tomorrow, but nothing of consequence. We'll have a little bit of a break in the clouds and the weather over the weekend before another system approaches Colorado late Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
.710 KNUS here in Denver.
And on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show. So, Billy, yesterday we had Scott Bottoms on the show.
Yeah,
and
we did.
This week he made allegations that there's essentially a pedophile ring within the state legislature, the state senate, and even the governor's office.
Epstein thing.
And said he had given all the information to the FBI and that they were going through the process, but then made I've just kind of some bizarre remarks about, well, if I get elected, then we'll be able to continue the investigation, get the prosecutions, but if I'm not, I'll release all the information. And everyone's like, well, just release it now. If there's somebody in the state capitol abusing kids, release it now. And Kyle Clark tried to get Bottoms to come on the show, and Bottoms rightfully shouldn't go on Kyle Clark's show because it's just a hit piece. So all Republicans out there, don't go on Kyle's show and make him do what he had to do yesterday, which is go down to the Capitol. To actually get Kyle Clark to get off his butt and actually have to go do some work is good for everybody.
And I also think that that is highly entertaining. I'm not talking about journalism. I'm just saying the confrontation interview thing and the person walking away and the person with the microphone having to follow them. And it was more fun when the microphone was attached to a cable that was attached to the guy on the camera. Now it's not as much anymore. So there's not as much of kind of a, tag team thing that has to go on like you're doing a three-legged race. But I have high enjoyment factor of any time that happens. I enjoy it tremendously.
And I just love the fact that Kyle has to go actually do work and get outside and can't just sit there on his throne and everybody comes to him.
At the very worst, Scott Bottoms helped Kyle get his steps in for the day. At the very least.
So he chases Scott around the Capitol trying to get him to answer questions about this, and Scott's not going to have anything to do with the dude and is yelling back at him. And anyways, it's quite entertaining. But it brings up all sorts of issues around the Epstein files, around whether or not we just use pedophile as a pejorative against our political opponents at this point without real strong evidence that they are actually that. And I wonder if this is just a continuation. We used to call you racist if we disagreed with you. And then everybody got called racist, so it just kind of moved on to Nazi. And if we disagree with you, you're a Nazi. And now it seems like if I disagree with you, you're a pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the Epstein files. Well, like, for instance, every Democrat in Colorado is associated with a donor from the Epstein files. Do you think you can throw that around against them? Howard Lutnick, all that stuff. How's this all going to play out? Well, let's go back to the phone lines. Larry in Denver. Good morning, Larry. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I just quick. The last caller, he really resonated with me, and so this is not what I call about, but just want to expand on that, especially when he talked about, it's like we need to erase this thing about Republican and Democrat. It's about what's right and wrong, and what's in our society. How do we get rid of it? But if we go back and forth. But this is what when he talked about that, this is what really is branded and etched. And I think we'd be branding and etched in history with Bondi. I looked at that hearing, and Bondi refused to turn around and face the victims. And that's all the Trump administration or whatever talk about is like, we're going to make you whole. But the victim was right there. And then she didn't even turn around to address. And then what she said, which was I don't know what to call it. Then she said, if you're a victim, call this 1-800 number. But they was right in the room. So you're telling American people, so what it is, don't you call us, we'll call you. We'll let you and rate you what kind of victims we want. So, and then that goes back. So, but again, that's not what I call to talk about. The piece is with the Scott Bottom. Scott Bottom yesterday said, Colorado is weak when it called to the pedophilia and talking about sex crimes. And so, I'm very weak when it comes to the computer, whatever, but, hey, you can pick up and you can check things. And then this has a racial component to it, but I'm looking to it, and I'm glad, and that's why I always say justice is not blind, because I'm willing to look at anything and say, if you say this is a law and you implement it, whether you say death penalty, whether you say anything, I'm with it. But people cannot straightforward do it across the board and look at anybody. So this is what Mr. Bottom said, regarding week on. But I'm looking at this on, June the 6th, 24, Robert Hawkins, he was convicted on sex crimes, and he was convicted for 448 years in prison for sex crimes. So good, black man. Chauncey Price, October the 20th, 304 years for sex trafficking. Again, in there. And then there's this another general, Brock Franklin. You can look this up. The most in America, 472 years sex crime. This is in Colorado. And then all of these people, and I looked around all across the Front Range, the FBI, all the police departments, the human trafficking unit, all been working together, and they're still working together. And you can look it up all on the websites.
Yeah. Now I got a question on this one. Do you think that America cares about the Epstein files and actually holding, these people that had high-ranking connections to a sex trafficker and pedophile? Because you're giving great examples, and Jeff accurately points this out in some of the disparate sentencing of Tina Peters versus people with other crimes. And justice is not all equal, and it is much easier, of course, to sentence the person in your neighborhood, the local person, for a long amount of time than it is to sentence the really rich and powerful person for a long time. But at the core, Larry, joining Jeff and Bill this morning, do you think America cares, or have we just decided that the Epstein files are a political weapon to bash our opponents with? Do we even want justice?
Look, given when you say with the Epstein files, everything, in my opinion, in the end, is going to show out in the polls what America cares about. And what they're trying to do, in my opinion, they're trying to erase all of that. See, but what America cares about, and then to me, what ends up happening, you end up saying, these are the people, this is what my issue is. All these people out there that's raping and pillaging and, your country and your kids, these black and brown people, boom, 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 be afraid of them because, we need to do this. We're campaigning. We need your vote to get this. So you're using America. So now when you look at it, and then that's on the local scale, but now I'm looking at this thing. I've seen movies like this. And we're contributing all over the world to rid of child trafficking, female trafficking, and we got all of these organizations, and it's right here in our country. And when you got rich white men pillaging and just Cornelius feeding on these people, and you see it now. What does that tell me? But the people down low, it's like put them in jail forever. Get these people off the street because these is who. So when evidence is coming up and saying, "Hey, these guys are doing this," yawn. They're doing their job, but I think it's going to come up.
Oh, Larry, and we got to move on, Larry, and I appreciate the phone call, and I think you're right that we ought to only concentrate on those at the lower tier. And it's not a great analogy, but we do it with the IRS as well. The reason that we don't go after the very rich and all those billionaires who take advantage of all the loopholes is because they have the money and the resources to hire really, really good attorneys. And it takes time, effort, and it's expensive for the IRS to do it. It's much easier for them to pinch us and get us because we don't have the resources and we're going to roll over quicker. Same thing in the justice system many times. But thanks for the call.
So people are texting and asking who we're talking about with regards to the mega donor here in Colorado to Democrats. Yeah. It's Reid Hoffman. He's the co-founder of LinkedIn, having a professional fundraising-focused interactions with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He had admitted to taking a one-night trip to Epstein's private Caribbean island, Little St. James, in 2014. So he did confirm he's been to the island. Hoffman is involved in a lot of Democrat political circles here in Colorado. He's a mega donor. He was involved in supporting Mike Johnston in the 2023 Denver mayoral race, $1.8 million to Mike Johnston's PAC. He supported in 2018 the governor's race. He was active in supporting Jason Crow against Mike Kaufman. I've also seen evidence that he's supported other candidates as well. So,
yeah,
that's where, are you gonna hear anybody take that on here in Colorado?
No. And are you going to hear anybody in any sort of power position on the Democrat side say anything about that? And if the Republicans mention it, it is going to, in my opinion, it's going to just come across as politics. And that's why I'm getting to this thought, and it's hard for me. That's why I keep saying it this morning, that do we even care about it? And I would hope that as Americans, at the very least, after Epstein has the charges and barely serves any sort of prison time out of Florida, when those charges basically go away, that I would hope that we would look at that and say anybody who had major contact with him, and let alone go to the island after that, shouldn't be in any sort of position or power and should pay a maybe personal, even private consequence for that, because the stuff was out there and you still went and visited the island. You still reached out to him. And I would say, Reid Hoffman goes and hangs out with Epstein after that. That's huge. And yes, if you're a politician that was cozy with him and took money from him, I would step forward and talk about it and talk about the relationship and how horrible it is, because that is you showing that you have the morals and ethics to reject it, not based on power brokers. But I have very little faith in our elected officials across the board, regardless of party, to have any sort of scruples like that.
He also Reid Hoffman made a $3,300 contribution to Brittany Pedersen's congressional campaign. All right, let's talk Colorado Christian University. Faith, family, freedom, these values define the American tradition and are increasingly under attack. The Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University is dedicated to remaining a committed voice for Christian conservative principles. Through their public events, publications, and student initiatives, they are committed to delivering world-class programming that empowers citizens of all ages to stand boldly for conservative values and engage with the pressing issues of the day with grace and truth. The need to promote principled conservatism and train the next generation of conservative leaders to speak with moral clarity and conviction is more urgent than ever. Join the Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University in their work to recommit the culture to faith, family, freedom, and future. Learn more at centennial.ccu.edu. That's centennial.ccu.edu. Text messages coming in on this, 9233. Root them all out.
I like that idea. I love the idea. I would love to see all of them fall apart because their connections.
Others going, now SCXCO. Now South Carolina, ex-Colorado. Saying, how about the example of Russell Wilson, mentioned just because he was contacted by a broker about a plane? Association does not equal guilt.
Nope, it doesn't. And that's absolutely correct. And that's why I do things like you go to the island after what happened in Florida. I got some serious questions. I understand that you may not have been participating, but I've got some serious questions about your personal radar and ethics to continue to have a relationship with someone like that. I just asked everyone listening to the Jeff and Bill show this morning, if someone in your social circle, either personally or professionally, had these kind of charges be brought against them, just the ones in Florida, and that person in your life gets a similar super soft, barely any sort of a sentence or consequence, how often are you hanging out with them? Are you scheduling trips to Disneyland? Are you going to football games with them? Are you going out to the bar with them? Are you inviting their family over to your house? Are you going to theirs? Are you going to go visit their private island?
Westy Carlos saying, Bottoms needs Kyle Clark more than Clark needs Bottoms. I don't know. I disagree. I think Clark has gotten very stale in his reporting, and that was the most interesting thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Coming from what I think Kyle Clark's doing. Because he had Jason Crow on and just,
yeah.
Oh, Jason, you're such a hero.
Well, the reason that I think that Clark needs Bottoms in this mechanism is, and this is kind of going a little bit deeper as far as layers, is there's part of me that believes Kyle's fighting for his job. And because, the new ownership coming in wants to tack more conservative. So Kyle and other people involved at Channel 9 right now need to be fighting for their jobs, saying they need to show that they can produce enough of an audience in order to maintain the broadcast. And that's what they need.
They slipped behind Fox 31, actually.
So they need to make sure they're showing audience, they're showing engagement. They have to, because if that engagement is going the other direction and slipping, it's easy to change. It's easy to make that replacement. Easy to make a change.
More of the Jeff and Bill show to come. You're listening to 710 KNUS in Denver.
And AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. And hopefully we all hate Epstein. Just saying. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS here in Denver, Colorado.
And AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you hear both sides. Well, kicked off as just a headline has resulted in lots of calls today. Yeah. Goldman Sachs' top lawyer to step down following latest Epstein documents. She was very close to Barack Obama, too. As a prosecutor, she helped try Enron executives. She was picked as White House counsel by former President Barack Obama, who was once considered a candidate to be U.S. Attorney General. Now, she said that the relationship was just professional with Epstein, but boy, oh boy, what a professional relationship it was. She received flowers, wine, an Hermes bag, $10,000 in gift cards, spa time, an Apple Watch, and a wire payment of $53,000 for a private jet.
That's quite a professional relationship. Wow.
They live in a whole different world. And
Yeah,
this has brought up questions about, what about all the files that have been released? Does it vindicate Donald Trump? What about all the Democrats associated with Reid Hoffman in the state of Colorado? Reid visited the island and has donated to pretty much most of the Democrat Party here in Colorado, it seems like. So is this something where everybody's stained? What do you do with the whole system? People texting in saying, burn it all down. We want them all exposed. I don't think anybody here in Colorado is going to pay a single political price for their connections to Reid Hoffman or anything in the Epstein files.
And this is where Jeff and I rank. We got in the break room right now somebody's leftover Christmas rum cake. Obviously, they got it for Christmas as a gift.
We got.
And they brought it in here going, I don't want this. Let's give it to the boys. And it's sitting on the table. So that's where we rank. People give us old food they don't want. Yay.
We're just basically the dog out back.
Exactly.
Bill. And then you have Scott Bottoms making accusations that there's a pedophile ring within the state house, the state senate, and even the governor's office. Kyle Clark chasing Scott Bottoms around the Capitol yesterday. What is going on here?
Best video.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Gina and Aurora. Good morning, Gina. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, Gina, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. Good morning. I just want to say, when I heard Scott Bottoms say that yesterday, I'm like, no way. And then yesterday afternoon, I hear that there's been a bill that's being introduced to legalize prostitution. So pretty much human trafficking.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
and when I heard Scott Bottoms' accusations that there's a pedophile ring at the state capitol, I go, well, that might be why they don't vote to put the pedophiles in jail, because that was a bill that Scott Bottoms had released earlier this week and went before the committee that said if you traffic in children, you go to jail forever. For the rest of your life, you go to jail. And that was shot down by the Democrats. And I said, well, maybe that's why. But do you believe Scott Bottoms? And what do you make of the fact that he said he's sent all the information to the FBI, but he's not going to name names? What do you make of that?
Well, I do kind of believe him. And I do think that, it wouldn't be really good to release names. I mean, you've got to have proof. Let it play out. Let's just see. Let's see what happens.
Now, Gina, question for you on that one. I want to focus in on the if I win, then I let you know. What's your opinion about that? Because I'm not certain that I'm okay with it. Because if this is such a serious crime, then whether or not any individual wins or loses a specific office shouldn't be the gatekeeper in my mind to holding those people responsible. Why, in your opinion, is Scott saying, I'm not going to tell you unless I get my way? We've all, as parents, have had kids doing that. That's how I'm interpreting it. Do you feel he's doing that? And if not, what do I get wrong about this?
I kind of agree. I don't know if he really gatekeep that information if it's true. I don't know why he said that. Maybe he, I don't know, misspoke in some way. He can't gatekeep that, in my opinion. I mean, if this is really happening, it's going to come out when when indictments come down, and he can't gatekeep anything.
Yeah, that was kind of my impression. I'm just like armchair psychologist, and this is not fair to a friend of the show, Scott Bottoms, and I acknowledge that at first. But I kind of had a feel that someone inside of the camp felt that it was a good electoral message, saying that, hey, you can vote for me because then I'm going to expose this happening. When in reality, anybody that again has been a parent has had that child that threatens to hold their breath unless you get them what they want, or they throw them a temper tantrum in the store and you've got to do this, and until you acquiesce to what they want, they're not going to do what you want, and it comes across that way. I think it could have been a better electoral tactic, and it could be totally unfair to say that it's an electoral tactic, but I think if it is, it could have been better to say, I am one of the people that has been working so hard. I'm going to prove to you that even when, I'm the type of governor that is going to do this, and I'm going to work with the FBI, and this is how much and how important this is to me, because look at all the extra time I've spent, and I am going to help bring these people down. And don't you want this type of leadership in that governor's mansion when we're dealing with all the other problems? I think it could have been used as a card of credibility rather than a carrot of incentive. Is that fair?
I totally agree.
But guys, also remember, he's been working down there. He's been at the state capitol.
Has. Yep.
And this is, I said it yesterday, it is a den of evil in many capacities. You have state senators that are so drunk, they kill themselves plowing into somebody else on I-25.
That's fair.
Right? You had another state senator who's going to jail for making up drawing up letters that were false. In an ethics investigation. So, I think that, who knows what Scott's onto? But remember, he's been there. We haven't. But I think he does need to get very clear. If this is happening, he's got to expose it right now, or at least press the FBI to address this and get some arrests. Gina, Aurora, I sure appreciate the call. Thanks
Gina.
So much. All right, folks, let's talk Gyrie's. My wife and I had a fantastic experience with Gyrie's. In fact, we've now gone back a second time to get some work done in another part of our house.
Yeah, this is the cool thing here. Okay, so Jeff, middle listeners, you have to understand that Jeff's not the decorator in the house. So when Jeff says that they've gone back for a second time, that means Mrs. Jeff has stood in the middle of the house and said, ooh, these look great. You know, honey, what I'm thinking? And Jeff just grabbed the car keys and now they're headed to Gyrie's. Yeah, that's how this works.
Right. Well, and like most people, it's not like you can redo the entire house all at once. You got to save up a little bit. You do part of the house, you save up some more, you do the other part of the house. That's where we are now. But Gyrie's has an absolutely incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. I've never worked with a professional design pro. I wandered around those big box stores asking a million questions and never being able to figure out what I needed. Going back like 8 times because you didn't get the right size, or ordering blinds online and you get the cheap ones that break. This design pro walked us through everything and helped us find a perfect option to enhance the look and functionality of our home. We got these remote control blinds, which are nice because we have a really old bathroom, like a 90s bathroom with a giant tub in the middle, and you can't even get to the other side without climbing over and crawling through the tub.
Awful.
So, we got a remote control blind now, and it just goes up and down. It's awesome. It's right on the wall. I love this thing.
Yes, and sometimes Jeff's children use it to moon the neighbors. They get in the tub and then press the ham. I'm teasing. That doesn't happen. At least as far as we know.
Our neighbors can't see all of us. So we're all far away from each other. All right, the designers are the experts, and they can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. Here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They come directly to you. Get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrys.com. That's GUIRYS.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Gyrys.
You got to go see them.
Be sure to thank me.
Go talk to Gyrys today because, again, you're going to be walking around the house this weekend and look at those blinds, those curtains. Something's happened. You got cats. Those cats have torn something down. You know how it works. You got that thing that's broken where it always looks like you're peeking out, or just those curtains are tired. The cool thing with Gyrys, as you heard Jeff talking about, custom Hunter Douglas means they fit perfectly You know how you go and you visit the tailor? I know, not many of us can go and visit the tailor all the time. That's what happens. I can't at all. But that's what you're doing. You are getting a custom tailor that is coming to your house so everything looks that spot on. And that you also, as Jeff said, you deal with the design professional. You don't have to guess. You don't have to look at what's going to be the hot trends. You don't have to sit there and argue about what color swatches or nothing. The design professional is going to guide you and your significant other into the best choices possible. They're going to fit your lifestyle, and it's all going to be custom made. This is a win-win-win-win-win all the way around.
Pro tip to the guys out there that may have forgotten about Valentine's Day this week.
Oh, I didn't even think of that, my friend.
Just grab your spouse, girlfriend, swing by, and just go, hey, why don't you just look around?
Oh, my God, that's great.
Let's talk. Ask some questions. They will love it.
Dude, and then on the way home, you could probably just get by not doing the dinner and just grabbing takeout because you guys got all sorts of stuff you got to look through and talk about decisions you got to make inside the house. Yeah, that's a save,
You didn't
man.
spend a dime.
Dude, that is a
swing by.
save. Yeah, Jeff's got your back today.
Right, we will continue. More to come. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides, and we even solve your interior design problems. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS here in Denver.
And on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the front range, all along the front lines, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you get both sides engaging on each of the issues. We've been talking Epstein, Scott Bottoms, the allegations that Bottoms made against the state capitol, saying that there's a pedophile ring taking place there. A lot of documents have come out. Pretty much everybody is tied into this in some capacity. Democrats in Colorado, for instance, receiving a lot of donations from a guy that visited the Epstein Island. Howard Lutnick visiting the island. At what point, what do we do with all of it? Some calling for us to just burn it all down on the text messages. Others saying,
I have found my people.
Hey, we need to keep in mind that people like Russell Wilson just mentioned because somebody contacted him about a jet. It wasn't even Epstein. It was a broker. So association doesn't equal guilt. Let's go back to the phone lines. Brian in Arvada. Good morning, Brian. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, good morning.
This Epstein thing just makes me sick. I don't care. I'm for the victims, number one, and I think most Americans are for getting to the bottom of it, no matter if there's a D or an R by their name. But unfortunately, both parties have let us down. The media has let us down. They're using it as a political ball to throw at each other, and it's disgraceful. Under the Biden administration, he had everything. He didn't release anything. The Democrats didn't call anybody to hearings. Then we go to Donald Trump. He released stuff all redacted. And then Pam Bondi can't even say it. Nobody's going to get indicted. You can indict a ham sandwich in this environment, but no one's going to get indicted for anything on this Epstein stuff with all the information we have.
Yeah,
Epstein's murder being covered up by Biden and the FBI, and now Donald Trump. Like, I don't understand. It's so sick, and we're never going to get to the bottom of it. Pam Bondi could have done herself a favor and turned around and said, I'm not taking responsibility for this, but I'm sorry this happened to you, and I'm going to do my best to get to the bottom of it. But she couldn't even get herself to do that.
Brian,
because they want to put it on Pam. But that's the thing. I see why she didn't do it, because then it's, Pam Bondi apologizes for this. That's the headline. That can't be the headline. We're not in this for headlines. We're in this to get who did these horrific things to these children. And anybody associated with Epstein after he was convicted or he was found to be a pedophile, anyone associated with him needs to go down.
Fair analysis. I appreciate it. Great. Thank you, Brian from Arvada. It also reminds me that there is going to be a God who judges everybody at some point.
Yes.
There is a count coming. All right, we'll continue into the next hour. Trump withdrawing troops or ICE agents from Minnesota troops. Might as well be. We'll get into this in the next hour. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We'll be right back.